You are listening to the Courageously Unconventional podcast. If you want to change your life and start living on your own terms, you're in the right place. I'm your host, Lynn Grogan. I'm a certified life coach, and I want to help you take action toward creating your own unconventional life. Each week, I'll share inspiring and unconventional stories from those who have gone before you, as well as actionable steps you can take to start your own unconventional path today. Let's go! Welcome back, my friend, and thank you for showing up and listening. I truly appreciate you. So today's episode is inspired by a conversation I had recently with a friend who is also a life coach, and we started talking about dreaming big. So my friend works with a lot of business owners and entrepreneurs, so dreaming big is a frequent topic in her coaching conversations. I shared with her that in my experience, the clientele I often work with, many of whom are female physicians, sometimes find it challenging to dream big or imagine different ways of living or working. Not every client struggles with this, but it is something I have noticed over the years. So when I ask questions like, well, if you could do anything, what would you do? Or if you knew you couldn't fail, what would you try? Those types of open-ended, big dream questions, sometimes clients find those difficult to answer. And I have my hunches about why this might be. My best guess is that it stems from being raised and educated and trained in environments where the framework for your future is essentially provided for you. So in careers like medicine or law or other professions with a clearly defined path, you're often not asked to dream beyond that framework. Like, sure, you make choices like which schools to attend or what specialty to pursue, but those decisions typically happen within a prescribed structure with specific milestones to hit along the way. And that makes sense, right? There is no reinventing the wheel when it comes to becoming a doctor. And there's also not much room or probably frankly energy for thinking outside that framework. And then if you also think about it, if you have spent years or possibly even decades following a step-by-step process to reach your goals, your brain naturally focuses on questions like, all right, well, what's next in the process? Or what do I need to do to succeed? And it doesn't leave much space to ask like, well, what do I actually want? And then if we add into that societal expectations like getting married and buying a house and having kids and climbing the career ladder, you end up with a formula for life. And for some people, this formula feels deeply fulfilling. But for others, they've checked all the boxes and achieved what is considered conventionally successful, but still feel like something is missing. And often what's missing is them. Like when you have spent so much time fulfilling external expectations, you might realize that you have built a life that looks great on paper, but doesn't fully reflect who you are or what you want. And I don't think that this comes from a lack of creativity or an inability to dream. I actually think that dreaming is a skill and it is a muscle that can weaken if it's not used. So if you haven't practiced dreaming big or thinking outside the box in a long time, or frankly, if you've never done that at all, it's no wonder that some questions feel challenging to answer. And also, let's be honest, some of the typical questions that are meant to help you dream, like what did you want to do when you were 12, aren't always helpful. I mean, when I was 12, I just wanted people to like me. I wanted to be a good girl. I wanted to follow the rules and get the gold stars. So that type of question doesn't necessarily translate into reimagining your life as an adult. In fact, you might be trying to unlearn some of those things. So what does help? Well, first, if you are feeling unfulfilled or unsure about what you want to do differently, know that you are not alone. Like, there is no shame or embarrassment in not having immediate answers to big dreaming questions. Many of us were never encouraged to dream beyond what was considered acceptable for our families or communities, and if that's you, nothing has gone wrong. It just means that this way of thinking, maybe you just haven't developed it very much yet. So it's okay if your brain has been trained to ask questions like, what is next on my to-do list, instead of, well, what's something that seems impossible but exciting to try? Second, meet yourself where you are. You have already accomplished so much, and we can celebrate that. And at the same time, you can start introducing the idea that your next steps might not come with a framework, and that's okay. But if some of the big, typical, dreaming questions seem hard to answer, you can narrow the scope. So instead of asking, if I could do anything without fear of failure, what would I do? And feeling stuck if you have a blank page, try something more approachable, like, okay, well, who inspires me? And what about their life or choices resonate with me? Or what would it look like to live a life that is 1% bigger? The key is to ask questions that feel accessible to answer based on where you are now and start opening yourself up to different possibilities. And I have included a longer list of questions in the show notes that you can ask yourself, maybe in your next journaling session or just when you're out for a walk. And third, practice. This is something that takes practice. Spend a few minutes each day for a week answering kind of the dreaming type of questions. Give your brain the opportunity to explore and get comfortable with imagining different possibilities for your life. Even 3 to 5 minutes of daydreaming can help strengthen that dreaming muscle. And see if you can approach this with lots of curiosity and openness. It is so natural for our brains to get a little bit judgy, especially when we're trying new things or a new perspective. So see if you can just bring yourself back to exploring. Because asking yourself new questions opens yourself up to new perspectives. And when your perspective shifts, you really start to consider different decisions and ways of living your life. So to recap, number 1, it's okay if you've never learned how to dream as an adult, or really at all. That's actually quite normal. 2, start with questions that meet you where you are and stretch yourself just a little bit. Those questions can always get stretchier over time. And again, I have included a list of questions or journal prompts in the show notes that you can ask yourself. And 3, practice. Dreaming is a skill and it's one that you can build up over time. And if you want some help with this, reach out. As a life coach, I am trained to listen deeply and help you uncover areas of your life where you might be limiting yourself. Sometimes it's really hard to see the big picture of your own life because you're in it. And that's exactly what a coach can help you do. If this resonates with you or this is something that you would like help with, I'd love to offer you a free coaching session to see if we're a good fit. You can find the details in the show notes or on my website, lynngrogan.com. That's all for today, my friend. Have a great week, and I'll see you next time. Hey, friend. Thank you for listening to today's conversation. If you're considering a major career or lifestyle change and you want to talk to someone about this, I'm here for you. You can learn how to work with me one-on-one on my website, which is lynngrogan.com. And I also have details in the show notes. See you next time.